Hey, it's Nay. Welcome to Hey Nay. So first, I would like to say that um, this episode marks our 95th episode, which is crazy. And as I've stated before, I'll be ending Hey Nay with the 100th episode, and that will pretty much be it. So I just want to say that. The second thing is the last episode when I was talking about second partner in dating. I also want to just say that because I know I encourage people to reach out to me. Um, I just want to say because I know that individuals who are in polygamous relationships in a marriage sense, that may be illegal depending on where you live, i.e., the United States. um, that you can reach out to me in hypotheticals. Nothing has to be in, you know, um, identifiable or, you know, implicating or anything like that. So I just wanted to say that. Okay, now the topic for this episode is change and dating, and there's a few things that I want to talk about here, and a little bit they tie a little bit to they tie a little bit more into breakups too. Kind of what I want to talk about. So you can kind of say this episode is a little bit of an extension of breakups, but it's just more about change and whether or not we should change who we are, or whether or not, um, you know, and sort of why we don't change and things like that. So I want to unpack that a little bit in this episode. So, first things first, should you essentially change who you are? Um, So this question is always a yes or no to me. I believe that you really shouldn't change. I think you really shouldn't change who you are in the sense that you shouldn't change for somebody else. Okay, you shouldn't change for somebody else. So you shouldn't compromise yourself or change everything about you for someone else. That is not. No relationship is healthy that way because you always have some sort of resentment or you ever have some sort of regret or feel like you're abandoning who you are. Okay? Saying that in that same breath, I do think that you have to be open to the possibility of things impacting you. I believe that we change every day. It's just that we don't necessarily notice some of the subtle differences. Sometimes we make these major changes, and those are the ones we notice. But we have to know that we're always growing, we're always evolving. So, in that sense, we are susceptible to change. Okay? So, you can sort of grow as a person and still sort of, you know, and still sort of be the same in the sense that you value what you're doing. So, valuing change is something that can stay the same. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a lot of, mixed up words, but what I'm saying is that sometimes change is necessary for us to grow. If we did not change, all right, for instance, think of our teenage versions of ourselves. I'm sure, I know for a fact I'm not a huge fan of that person. So, I mean, other people thought he was all right, but teen Nay, I wasn't, compared to me Nay right now, present Nay. So, like, teen Nay or past Nay, he was a little bit different compared to present Nay. So, and I like present Nay more than I like past Nay. And I think be, the fact that I'm even able to admit that shows that there were some things about myself that I guess looking back on may not have always been a great reflection of me. But looking at myself now, I see that things that have impacted me were better for me. They made me more of a positive person, or they affected me in a positive manner. So a lot of us, especially when we talk about relationships, a lot of us make changes after a breakup or after a heartache or after being rejected. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit more. Um, so, um, so if things aren't sort of working out for yourself, maybe you have to self-reflect and sort of see, how you can better yourself. So, and bettering yourself is not changing who you are, it's just improving. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a phone. It's like a phone. So instead of, just like abandoning phones or completely going to, instead of phones, you're going to start, using telegraphs again or something like that. I don't know. You're just going to upgrade your phone. You want to upgrade, you want to update it too. You want it to grow, you want it to improve. And that's kind of how we have to view um, sort of who we are, the essence of who we are. So again, um, if things aren't working out the way that you would like them to do, self-reflect. Think about like, you know, sometimes I feel this way or sometimes I feel that way. And, I wonder why I feel this way, or I wonder why people perceive me this way. So you have to unpack that. And you can't control people's perceptions really, but you have to be able to understand who you are. So if you don't understand who you are, then you're never going to really understand the growth that you may encounter or the impacts that people may have on you. You're not going to understand that because that when change happens, you have to keep relearning and keep sort of re-understanding who you are. So if you don't understand who you are now, a change you may sort of be pushing back against it because you feel that it's not necessary because you don't even know who you are right now. So how can you be more susceptible to change? So I hope you're following what I'm saying. But I just think that it's important for us to self-reflect. So self-reflect is a key thing here when it comes to um, growing and moving forward. The other thing is that if you realize that a lot of your relationships haven't been so successful, um, and sometimes just things aren't working out, you have to realize that you are the common denominator there. In all your past relationships, you are the common denominator. So you have to understand why this happened. Maybe there's something about yourself that you need to improve on. You know what I mean? I know a lot of us like to think of ourselves in a high regard, and there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. But we also have to understand that we're not perfect. And a lot of us are actually technically far from. You know what I mean? I think no one's even close to perfect. So in that sense, we need to know that we're always growing. We always need to sort of, you know, be wanting to grow. So if things aren't working out, maybe there's a change that you need to make within yourself. Maybe there's something that needs to, you know, open up more or compromise on. And a lot of times we don't do that. We don't do that. And like I said, no one's telling you to abandon, any values you have, but it's just more about understanding that how I'm doing this isn't working. So I need to try something else. You know what I mean? If something is not working, you try a different way. And we don't do that a lot of times when it comes to relationships. We keep on trying it the same way, the same way. And we cannot do that. We have to try it in different ways. I keep saying relationships, you know, it's not a natural thing. It's not a natural, it's not natural to sort of keep them going. We have to learn how to keep them going. We have to learn the behaviors to keep them going. That is the truth. And a lot of people don't understand that. So we really have to get to that. Now, like if you have broken up with someone or someone has broken up with you, what would you do different? You know what I mean? Is there anything that you would do different, And if the answer is no, then, more power to you. But I think if you keep coming across this question, then the answer may actually be yes. And you have to be honest with yourself that the answer is yes. And that maybe, you could have been a little bit more nicer, or you could have been a little bit more appeasing, or you could have been a lot more, supportive, or a lot more honest, or a lot more trusting, just even more open. So a lot of these things are common things that people, start to realize that maybe they should have done. And sometimes that's the truth. So, and that's where we kind of learn. So we learn from these past relationships. So we learn these things and we're like, okay, I messed up in this part of the relationship. I take responsibility for this. You know what I mean? And because of that, I know when I go into my next relationship, I would do not have to have that same issue. Because if you're having the same issue occur, then something is wrong. Even if you're having, similar issues, something is wrong there. Something is wrong there. You have to realize that something has to change. And, a lot of people don't like change. They don't, and and I understand it. Everyone's comfortable in doing the same thing or routine, but I really recommend just embracing it because you become a better person. People always ask me like, like, Nay, you're just such a open person. You seem so kind and everything, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't always that way. You know what I mean? I never saw myself that way to begin with. I never seen it that way. I just always, um, I felt like I was a very judgmental person, as a teenager. And I felt like, you couldn't really tell me anything. And now I feel like embracing. I want to hear other people's opinions. I want to hear other people's views. I want to know more because it makes me a better person. It makes me more of an objective and impartial person. I am able to have more of, I guess like a cosmopolitan view on certain things. And I think that's important. I think it's important because we interact with so many different people, or we want to understand certain people. And I think that's important. So I believe, at least with the mindset I have now, that I am in a lot more better predicament to be in a relationship than I was before. And that's because of all those things. Now, I just want to wrap up with, one important thing is that we have some high expectations a lot of times for what we want in relationships. And I know a lot of people debate this back and forth, like, everybody should have expectations or everybody should do, there's a lot of stuff like that. But I think, if you want a certain type of person, you always have to put work into yourself too. You know what I mean? You need to be the person you want to date, essentially, is what I'm saying. So, you know, if you want a person to have, these certain values, or you want this person to have this sort of self-esteem for themselves, or just even, have more of a positive light in their lives, then you would need to model that yourself. You would need to work on yourself as well. It doesn't just end. We always think that we're great and everyone else has to change. No, we have to change together, And a lot of times change happens no matter what. So we have to keep understanding and communicating and having this sort of revolving door back and forth. That's why a lot of times, some people in relationships end up not lasting long, or they saying like, we've grown apart. That's the common thing. There we go. We've grown apart. And what that means is that one person has been embracing change into their life and more perspective and openness, while the other has not. The other has been rejecting it. So it's like, oh, but we were such on accord in the beginning. Why are we not now? And that's because one person is embracing change more while the other one is not. We have to do it together. And if we are continuously having this openness and this freedom to talk and to explain and to understand, then, we can grow on the same path. So be the person you want to date. You know what I mean? And that's all I really have to say about that. I don't want to. I think that's good enough. Looking at the time, I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate this all. I know it's a lot is happening. We're entering pretty much into like I guess like the last month pretty much of Hey Nay. And I do want to say thank you all for continuously watching. If you really like this video, please share it. Really do. And because I hear a lot of people say that, oh my gosh, like what you said, Nate, was very important, or, and people end up seeing some of these episodes so much later on. So, and they're like, oh wow, that's so good. So if you think it's a positive message, share it. You can share it to a person individually. You can, share it on your wall or on your, your Twitter or Instagram, whatever. Just just spread the word, because I think it's important for people to know these type of things. Okay, great. So subscribe, like, share, and love, and remember to always start your day off with a hey. Goodbye.